Hi everyone. Now we will come to the really advanced stuff. We will see how we can calculate the weighted score. So I'm going to use a combination of Excel, Tableau, and generative AI for this example. Now this file has already been given to you, so you can have a look at this. First, let me tell you what is it that we are trying to create. I would like to arrive at a final weighted score, which tells me that Care World is at 90.86%, News 18 Lokmat is at 53%, Google on the other hand is at 48%. For this, we are looking at our conversion, our CAC, our cost. Then we have a scale of 0 to 1, what we refer to as the min-max normalization. So the entire idea here of the min-max normalization is that we are rescaling the value from 0 to 1. And it's a very popular method of normalizing data because otherwise something is a percentage, something is on a scale of 0 to 5, something is on 5 lakhs to 15 lakhs. Once we do this, then we will assign a weight to it. Now, of course, the weights we decide. In this case, I've chosen 30% each to CAC and conversion and 40% to my cost. So let's build it, and then I'll also ask you to practice yourself, because while it doesn't seem complex, there are a lot of moving parts in it. But I'll also be showing you how to do this on generative AI. Okay, so first I need to get a list of all my unique sources. So unique, and we get our sources like this. Then I would like to get my conversion, my CAC, and my cost. Now the cost is the easiest one. It is simply SUMIF. We want to look at in column B, Facebook, and then add up the cost. Right? So there you go. That's the total cost. For the conversion, we would want to do a SUMIF. In column B, we are looking at Facebook. The sum range is landed conversion divided by another SUMIF, which is again in column B, we are looking at Facebook and qualified lead. So that means that out of these qualified leads, what percentage converted? So Facebook is at 21, Google is at 27. Let me also verify the numbers. Everything seems okay, like this. For the CAC, it's very similar. For the CAC, I want to take, rather than my landed conversion divided by qualified lead, what I want to do here is I want to take my cost divided by landed conversion, and that gives me the CAC. Of course, we can apply an if error here so that in case it was 0%, then the result is also a blank. So perfect. I think that's a good start. Next, we want to calculate the min-max normalization, which means, first let me show you what the formula looks like. So for my conversion, it will be the conversion value minus the minimum conversion divided by maximum minus minimum. Then we have for CAC, the opposite, because in CAC, a higher CAC is a bad thing, right? So I would prefer a lower CAC, but I would prefer a higher conversion. So in this case, we want to do a 1 minus, everything else remains the same. In the cost as well, a lower cost is preferable, so we want to do a 1 minus. Let's get started. So first, I will take my value, which is 21.87 minus the minimum of the entire column divided by the maximum minus my minimum. Please be careful with the parentheses here as well. And if you notice, we get our answers like this: 0.73, 0.93. Now I can take the same thing and do the same thing for the CAC as well. The only small difference here would be we want to do a 1 minus, right? Because the values have to be reversed. Remember, in CAC, a lower CAC is considered better. So we do a 1 minus. And as you can see, let's just check once. I will have to do a 1. I'm sorry. Yep. So we're doing a 1 minus like this. But again, you're getting these value errors. So we'll have to put a if error, that in case there's an error, we want to see a blank value like this. And now I can copy the same thing one more time and just shift everything to the cost. Everything looks great, and now we have our weighted distribution. So 0.3 multiplied by the first one plus 0.3 multiplied by the second one plus 0.4 multiplied by the third one. Right? Let's apply an if error here. Convert this into a percentage, and here we go. So we can see highest is Care World, and the minimum here is Z Hindustan at 23.38%, like this. Perfect. So take your time and make sure to practice it. And I also want to show you how to do this on ChatGPT. Now remember, we don't expect it to work in one single prompt, but then with a little bit of prompting, we should be able to get to the correct output. So let's start with our cleaned data. So we'll take it step by step. So first I'll ask it to show a list of source and the cost. Here we go, like this. Now, obviously, wherever the cost is 0, there really is no point of showing anything else because the final answer will also be a 0. So I will say, remove the sources with 0 cost. So now we have like this. But what I want to now tell is that I want a list of unique sources. Right? Along with their cost. Affiliate 734, Care World 73. So affiliate 734, Care World is 221. So the number seems a little off. Let's try it one more time. Let us start afresh from the original data group the total cost for all unique sources. And that is why, because you can't just rely on ChatGPT completely. A, because our prompt might not be that good and that detailed. Also because you will only get confidence once you are able to map it with the Excel file. So now you notice care world is 221, affiliate is 734, and 221, 734. Just to check, Taze is 122, Taze is 122. Everything looks good. So I will say this is perfect. Remove the 0 sources. Right? Here it is. Let's also verify this once. So we have affiliate at 734, care world at 221, Z Hindustan at 116. Everything looks good. Now I say also show the qualified lead and conversion columns. So now it shows us conversion and qualified lead, and I will say add 2 columns. So one would be the CAC and the other is conversion rate. Again, as you can see, our CAC is 2204, conversion rate is 2949. Let's verify that. So for Facebook, our cost is 111. So Facebook, our cost is 111. Qualified lead is 3098. Okay, that one we don't need to see. But if you look at the final answer for Facebook, we have CAC at 1649, conversion rate is 21.86. 1649, 21.86. Perfect, right? Now let's go back, and now I'm going to ask it, let us do min max normalization. Okay, before doing it, show me how you plan to do it. Now since it's going to become a little more complex, I would first want to check with it, does it understand and is it able to follow my line of thinking or not. So it tells me X is the original value, min and max is minimum maximum, and it will identify the numeric column. Now I will say, I want you to apply it to cost, conversion and CAC. But first tell me, how will you write the formulas? Now see, it tells me that for normalized cost, cost minus min cost divided by max minus min, CAC, CAC minus min CAC, and conversion rate. Now I will say this looks good, but a higher CAC and higher conversion rate are bad. Because remember, a higher cost and higher conversion rate are a higher CAC and higher, I'm sorry, I have to change that. Let me just stop it. You have to say a higher CAC and higher cost are bad, but higher conversion rate is good. So I want to know how it will handle this. Just like we had done a 1 minus in the Excel file, it tells me that we want them to be lower and we want the conversion rate to be higher. And that's how you notice now it is doing an inverse normalization. So 1 minus, but for the conversion rate, it will be the regular one, right? And now if you notice, it gives me, in fact, we can just download it to have a look. Let's compare it side by side. So the one on the right is the one we did, and the one on the left is the one done by ChatGPT. Let's look at one of these. Let's look at Facebook. And Facebook here. So for Facebook, you can see it is 0.73, 0.8, 0.09. And here you notice we have 0.8 for the CAC, which is okay. The cost is 0.11 and the conversion rate is 0.18, right? So the numbers, do seem a little off. So I might have to go back and check with it. Let's check the answer once. So 3098, 1649, 2187. Okay, what I am now thinking is that because we have not removed the zero values here, maybe there's a possibility that because these zero values were there, oh yeah, I think that's why my answers are a little different. So if you notice, because the minimum becomes the zero value, right? So if I remove these zeros from here, and I also remove the zeros from here, got it. Now the answers are changing. 0.18, 0.8, yeah, correct, makes sense. But that's okay. I can do it in Excel right away. So as you can see, when I removed all the zero values, everyone, right? Just to explain it properly, once I removed all the sources with zero, because remember in ChatGPT, I removed the zero sources in the beginning itself, which we did not do in Excel. But if we remove the zero here as well, and you look at Facebook, in fact, let's look at a different one. Let's look at Taze. You will see that Taze, we have a 0, 1 and a 0. Obviously, right? Because Taze happens to be the cheapest, right? It also happens to have the highest cost. That's why you're getting a 0, 1 and a 0 like this, right? So the conversion is the lowest, the CAC is also the lowest, and the cost is the highest. That's why. But if you look at Z Hindustan, you will see for Z Hindustan, which is the last one, we have my conversion, that is 0.11, column J. Then we have a 0 coming here, which is for the CAC. So CAC is 0. And then we have my cost coming as 0.06, which is coming as 0.06. There we go. So it is working perfectly. And now I can ask it, this is perfect. I just realized that we had removed the zero source. That means if you go back and check, you will notice that I had removed the zero sources. So I'm going to tell it, can you not do that and repeat all the steps? So now you notice it is keeping the zero cost sources. And if I come back to my Excel, let me expand this. If you look at affiliate, we are getting conversion rate at 0.98. Just a moment. So 0.99, then we have 0.48 for the CAC, so 0.48 for the CAC and 0.40 for the cost. Here we go, right? So everything is perfect. The only last part left is I will say thanks. Now add weights. So 30% to my conversion to the normalized values, 30% to conversion, 30% to CAC, and 40% to my cost. Let us again expand it. And if you see my weighted score, in fact, let me just download it. Convert this into a percentage. Here we go. So you can see let me just hide all the other columns. Here we go. So if you notice, Facebook is 4939, 4939. Sadhana is 4823, 4823. Basically, we are getting the exact same answer. Now it's very cool. I know it took a little bit of time for us to do it, but that's a great learning that what you are actually building in Excel can really be done in ChatGPT as well, right? Like this. And now if I say combine all this into one final code, so here we go. We are reading the sheet. We are grouping the data as per the cost, qualified lead, landed conversion. Then we are calculating our CAC, as you can see. Aggregated data CAC is cost divided by landed conversion. For conversion rate, we are doing landed conversion divided by qualified lead. Then we have min-max normalization. Notice in cost and CAC, we have 1 minus 1 minus. In aggregated data, we have just a normal min-max. Then we're applying the weight like this. This is pretty cool, right? And now if I say, this is perfect, convert it to a code I can use in Google Colab. So I can copy it. Let's test it once. So I'll run it. We can choose our file. So clean data. And that's it. I mean, there's really nothing else. As you can see, it's working perfectly. We also have a process data. And if I download that, you can see it works perfectly like this. Okay, the only final part left is, let's call this Jiva weighted score. The only final part that is left is we also have to get the Tableau formulas, isn't it? So I will now say, thanks, give me the Tableau formulas required for the normalization and the weights. I'll obviously show you my final Tableau file as well. But as you can see, that is it. All I have to do is I have to ask it to give me the Tableau formulas. As you can see, it gives me cost normalization, lower is better. CAC normalization, lower is better. Conversion rate normalization, higher is better. And it also gives me the weighted score calculation. And if I show you the Tableau file, you can see we have normalized cost like this. Then we have normalized conversion rate, which is this one. We have the normalized CAC, which is here. And then finally, we have our weighted score calculation, that is like this. Do notice that here it is using these window function, which basically means we are doing the cost of that selected source minus the entire cost, right? You can of course ask ChatGPT to explain all these things to you. So quite a long video and quite advanced as well, but we covered a number of different things. So please make sure to practice all of this.